Respected audience who are participating from Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, India, and the other parts of the world, I take this opportunity to offer you a very warm welcome from MindMapper to the free webinar series. This is Sharia Firdaus, and I'm the head of operation in MindMapper Bangladesh. Tonight, we have one of the most sought corporate coach and trainer in Bangladesh and in the South Asian region, Mr. Ejazur Rahman, with us, who has a vast experience of working 16 years in corporate career in large reputed MNCs and large local businesses. He has dedicated all his energy shaping up people's mind and to achieve their goals. So far, he has worked with 350 organizations and trained over 19,000 people in last 10 years in Bangladesh and abroad. This year, MindMapper is celebrating its successful journey of 10 years with a theme of celebrating partnership as a way of expressing gratitude to our large clientele. We have started offering special gifts to our existing potential clients and guests. This webinar is one of those gifts. Recently, we have conducted a webinar, a online poll for identifying Ejazur Rahman's shorter versions of signature trainings, and the result came out last week, and we thank you all for your wholehearted participation in the poll. And based on the result, we have selected 3 topics of the training, and here we are presenting tonight the second of the 3 trainings, Negotiation Mastery. We hope, like all of us at MindMapper, you are ready to participate wholeheartedly in the webinar and take the benefit and implement in your life. We will be inviting Mr. Ejazur Rahman soon on the screen. Meantime, may I request you to have a notepad and a pen, which you will find very useful during the webinar. I wish each of you who has already joined and who will be joining to take this opportunity, and please like our page and also share this live session to your timeline or your any other groups you belong. That's the way you will be spreading leadership from this very moment. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please welcome Mr. Ejazur Rahman.
Yeah. Okay, can the team please confirm? Can you just give me a thumbs up or something so I understand? Now it's audible. Awesome. Thank you very much, whoever is responding to me. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. So my friends from Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and India, and from all other parts of the world, this is a subject that is very close to my heart. And we have mastered on this for many years now, doing corporate trainings and coaching with regard to sales and negotiation success. So I'm really looking forward to the next 90 minutes or so if you have still blocked it. We apologize that we have lost about 20 odd minutes at the beginning, but we'll try to make it up. But then again, it would be good for you to keep about 90 minutes reserved from now. So I hope you and your family are doing all right. You're keeping healthy. You have the right mindset. You're still very positive about life. So before we begin, like the last session that we did, we'll do a small priming, which is a gratitude session. I invite each one of you who are listening to please leave your chair and stand up. I will not take more than 90 seconds or about 2 minutes. Please stand up, leave your chair. Yeah, please stand up. And I hope you can hear me. As you stand up, I want you to do a little bit of breathing. Take a long breath in, hold it, and long breath out. Maybe the count of 6, take a long breath in, then hold it for about 10, and then breathe out for 6. 6, 10, 6. Long breath in with your eyes closed. Hold it for a little longer, and then release it. One more time. And then I want you to take your 2 hands and hold your heart. Make sure you can feel the pulse there. And please close your eyes. Close your eyes. As you close your eyes, I want you to think of all the beautiful happenings that you had in your life so far. Something significant that has happened. A result in the school, college, or university, getting married to the person that you like, getting a good job. I want you to now think of all the important human that you have in your life. Your parents, your siblings, your spouse, your children, your good colleagues, your friends in the community. Think about all of them and feel that sense of gratitude inside you, that you're so lucky that you have those people in your life. I wanted to feel the gratitude for a reason that you and I are still alive. When thousands are leaving this world for this unknown virus that we have, unknown enemy that we have in this world, but you and I are still kept alive. So feel that sense of gratitude. Hold your heart deep in a manner that you can feel the pulse, feel the beats. Please thank your heart because it is unconditionally pumping blood. Over 100,000 times it's beating every day and keeping you alive. Thank the Almighty for keeping you alive today. You're still breathing, you're still smiling, you're eating and sleeping, you're mingling with people. You can still see all the beauties in this world. I want you to thank your heart deeply. I want you to thank your 2 hands, thank your 2 legs, 2 eyes, for all the benefits that it's bringing to your life. I want you to thank to the Almighty, the Creator, the Lord of this universe, and request Him to take all your love and affection to the people who are in need in this world, people who are suffering in different parts of the world. And continue to express your gratitude that you still have your sense active, that you can think about them. You can perhaps do something about them. One more time, with the right feeling of your heart as you feel it on the palm, say thank you, and thank you, and thank yourself for being here tonight for a good cause. As we learn, as we become more knowledgeable, we grow wisdom, we also become more capable of sharing it with others. So with that, I want you to slowly open your eyes, rub your 2 hands together, make it a little warm, put it on top of your 2 eyes, feel the warmth, and slowly open your eyes and welcome back. I'll be very happy to know how you feel now. Please express how you feel now. I'll be happy if some of you share with me how you're feeling now. Put it on the comments. Yeah, let me read some of the comments. Alhamdulillah, fantastic, brilliant. Now, I'm not very sure before today how many of you have joined negotiation training or a negotiation masterclass. Please have a pen and a piece of notebook with you so that you can also take some notes as we progress. Generally, as I was mentioning, we would do this training in 2 days with a lot of modules, 8 to 10 modules. But of course, I've tried to make it as useful as possible for a 90-minute session. And of course, we'll keep some time during the middle and towards the end to take some questions from you. So if you're ready, Are you ready? Tell me I'm ready. Yeah, show some excitement. Just put it on the comment that I am ready. And I'm eagerly waiting. Please put some comments. Or give me a high five there. Or a thumbs up. Wa alaikum assalam. Someone is conveying salam. Thank you very much. Are you ready to go? Ready to rock? Can I see some comments there? Yes, beautiful. I'm ready. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so here we go. Let me begin with a very simple and easily understandable definition of negotiation so that we all, go through the journey together, irrespective of how much knowledge you already have. Very simply putting, it's a conversation leading to an agreement. So you sit down for a conversation with another party or more than a party, one person or more than a person, to ultimately reach an agreement. So we have the conversation in a way with an ultimate objective of reaching an agreement. That's what negotiation is about. On a little broader context, it's a process of resolving conflict between two or more parties, whereby both or all of them modify their demands to achieve mutually acceptable compromise. So if we break this definition, it's necessarily a process. Negotiation is not something that happens just like that. It's a process. And I also want to humbly remind you, it's really a negotiation process. Yeah, it's a communication process through which you negotiate your needs and wants. And it's also a process of resolving conflicts. So what you want right now is in somebody else's hand, or you want something, some other side wants something else. You need to resolve that and then reach an agreement. It also has two or more than two parties. And in the process, each parties will modify their demands and they'll try and achieve a mutually acceptable compromise. I hope these two definitions will set the right perspective in your head what really negotiation means. The first one I said is a conversation leading to an agreement. And the second one I said is a process of resolving conflict between two or more parties, whereby both or all modify their demands to achieve a mutually acceptable compromise. I hope you have managed to take some notes. Now, the world so far has talked about two basic types of negotiation. The one in the past, let me talk about that a little later. The one that we talk about today is more on integrative negotiation, is more about mutual benefit negotiation, principle-centered negotiation, or a win-win negotiation. Interestingly, all these names that you're seeing here, integrative, mutual benefit, principle-centered, or win-win, they're all actually different names of the same negotiation. So what happened in the past is we saw a different type of negotiation which was opposite to this, called distributive negotiation. The whole idea was about when you and I sit for negotiation, we have a pie to share. It was a matter of sharing the pie. How do we split it in a way so that it meets your interest and my interest, or how do I get more and I give you less? That's the type of distributive negotiation we had in the past. Whereas the world has now moved into a common understanding that negotiation rather should be win-win. It should be more of integrating, coming together. It should be more of looking at mutual benefit. And it should be based on principles, should be principle-centered negotiation. I'll give you a little bit more on principle-centered negotiation in a bit. I hope you're following so far. So the type of features that we have in principle-centered negotiation is that it looks for mutual gain whenever possible. What you're getting, what I'm getting as well. It insists on results based on some fair standards which are independent of the will of either side. It doesn't matter what you think is right, what I think is right. It looks at fair standard. It is also hard on the subject and soft on the person who are negotiating. It employs no tricks and posturing. It shows how to obtain what is entitled and still be decent about it. And it helps you to be fair while protecting you against those who take advantage of your fairness. So as you can see, the principle-centered negotiation is all about ensuring what is fair, ensuring that it is mutually beneficial, ensuring that we play no tricks, right? We employ no tricks. And it is hard on the subject, but soft on people. Now, talk about 4 negotiation principles. Moderators, I want the slide to be on the screen. Is there a problem? Because I've been discussing with an expectation that the slide has been there also. Moderators, if you could kindly confirm. That the slide is there. Yeah, if you could kindly confirm on the phone if it is there. Dear viewer, yeah, I can see the slide is there. All right, so thank you very much. 4 principles that are practiced and promoted by Harvard now is something that I'm going to share, so please take some notes. And as I move on, I need to also remind you that when it was surveyed and before Harvard proposed this, it was like they did not opt for rules. They rather opted for principles. So we will also understand that why principles, why not rules. So 4 negotiation principles very quickly, which will actually be very useful as we talk about the negotiation environment, what we do before, what we do during the negotiation, also what we do after the negotiation. So the reason it is about principles, because principles helps us to keep the scope wide. Right? It's principles which can be used differently by different people. Also, it is organic. It comes from within. It grows from within. Whereas rules, on the other hand, are more linear. You know, you have to strictly follow that rule. So that's why it's more principles rather than rules that has been suggested by the HBR. Now, with regard to the principles, the reason they have focused more on principles, because principles are for cooperation, that we respect the principle, and by respecting the principle, we collaborate and cooperate with each other. So cooperation to happen, it needs freedom and creativity. So we agree that these are the principles that we're going to follow in the negotiation. At the same time, we allow people to feel free and to talk about their side of the story and also become creative in finding solutions. I believe many of you remember these 5 strategies, you know. Before I talk about the first principle, I need to remind you of these 5 strategies: win-lose, lose-win, compromise, lose-lose, and win-win. I suppose most of you have gone through this before, so for the sake of, or for the benefit of time, I'm actually not going through them one by one now. But you understand that there are these 5 strategies that we have in negotiation. Win-lose is at any cost I win and the other side lose. There are different scenarios where I lose and the other side wins, or I go to a compromise where I get something, leave something, or lose-lose. Neither I have a winning mindset, what you call feeling of winning, nor the other side gets a feeling of winning, or finally win-win, that both of us actually meet our interest. So I just wanted to remind you of these 5 strategies that we have. Now, generally, I would also like to remind you that people, while negotiating, some of them take high interest on relationship, some of them take low interest in relationship. What that really means, they negotiate because they have to get something. They negotiate because they want the other side to agree to some of the things that they have. So we have high interest as well as low interest with regard to relationship. On the other hand, we also have high interest and low interest in issues. So some people are highly interested about resolving the issues. They are less focused on relationship. Or some of them are having low interest in issues and high interest on relationship. So this is what happens. If you are negotiating with somebody that you like, you remain sympathetic to that person, right? And you generally have a tendency to give in. And when you have that, you generally end up in a lose-win situation. How many of you are following me? Just write, yes, I follow. Some of you, please help me to understand that you're following so far. Just write, yes, yes, I follow, yes, I understand, going good. Let me have some comments, please, before I proceed further. So, and by the time you put your comments, let me repeat what I just said, that when you're negotiating with somebody that you like, you actually remain sympathetic because you like that person. And you have the tendency to give in to the other side. And when that happens, you're actually in a lose-win situation. Yeah, you are helping the other side to win. On the other hand, when you are negotiating with someone that you don't like, or even you like hate that person, right? Then what happens? You get into a win-lose situation because you have no sympathy for the other side. Now, the first principle of the 4 negotiation principles that we're going to talk about actually revolves around this, that if I want to bring the right balance between the relationship and the issue that I am handling in the negotiation, what is the best principle to follow? And here it comes. As I said, in order to avoid this risk, that the quality of relationship interferes with your interest in the issue, we need to separate the issues from the relationship. What is the first learning? I'm giving you the principle here. You can follow. Separate the person from the issue. That's the first negotiation principle. Irrespective of what type of relationship you maintain with the person, good or bad, you like him or you don't like him, you need to separate that with the issue that you're negotiating with. What would that mean is, because you're following principle, it would not matter whom you're negotiating with. Just because it's your boss or your subordinate, your negotiation should not change. It should rather follow the principle of separating the person and the issue, right? And when you do that, it becomes much easier for you to negotiate by following this first principle. So that's principle number 1. So be hard on the subject and soft on the person, because you are dealing with the issue. You're not here to make the other side feel small or kill the person, outsmart him. That's not your objective. Your objective is to resolve the issue. You need to also understand the interest of the other side and form partnership. So for you to separate the person from the issue, you need to understand the interest of the other side, why he or she is negotiating with you. What is in it for him? What does he want out of this negotiation? And the moment you create a mindset of creating partnership through this negotiation, that you consider him as a partner, because without him, you're also not going to achieve what you wish to achieve. So it's genuinely a partnership. So when you have that mindset, when you manage to separate the relationship from the issue, you actually get into a good environment of negotiation. Moving on with principle number 2. I believe some of you remember this story, that there were 3 humans and they had 3 orange. How many of you remember the story? Just say aye if some of you are remembering this. Let me see who remembers. If some of you remember the story, say yes, I remember, or say aye. Yeah, be quick. There are several hundred on the... Yeah, who are participating. I want to see some. Yeah, beautiful. Say aye if you continue to... Yes, I agree. Thank you very much, Mr. Imdadul Karim. Abdul Sattar, thank you. Any more? Janisha, okay, wonderful. So many people are saying yes, I. Thank you very much. So here is the challenge. These 3 humans are in a situation where there are only 3 pieces of orange, and this is what they want. The first person says, I want all 3 oranges. The second person says, I want all 3 oranges. And the third one also says the same. So we are in a fix. If it were you trying to split this or do justice to their want, what would you do? Can someone give me a solution? What would you do? Each of them are asking for all 3 oranges. So what can be done? I'd much appreciate if one of you could come up with an answer, or if you have the answer, please share it with us. What will you do? 3 persons, 3 oranges, and each of them want all 3. Can someone give some opinions, some ideas? Yeah, let me read some. I think some of the suggestions are coming. Each with 1 orange, but they all want 3 oranges. Somebody said make a juice, which is a good one, and distribute. So yeah, the next one is again each one gets 1. Equal distribution, so 1 each. Distribute 3 among 3 persons. Okay. 3 divided 3. Mustaki, can I go back to the previous comment? I think some Mr. Muttakir has mentioned. I want to see that comment again. Dear audience, I want to remind you there's a big team who is working behind, Nafisa Anjum, Sharia Firdaus, and Masood Parvez Prantik. You can say hi to them at some point. Yeah. Why they want the 3 oranges? Mutaqir Rahman, I'm not sure if you're from Bangladesh or from elsewhere. Okay, so thank you very much. I think this is the right opinion that I was looking for. Gentlemen and ladies, where we have been focusing so far is what these people want. They all want these 3 oranges. And here is the way that you can follow if you're really looking at principal negotiation or win-win negotiations. So that will lead us to the second principle. But let's look at the solution first. When we ask them, what do you want? Why do you want? What do you want? They have answered, we want all 3 oranges. So then when we ask them, why do you want all 3 oranges? The first person says, I want to make juice from these 3 oranges. And the second person says, I want the orange peel for facial. And the third person says, I want to feed the cow with pulp. So as you can see, they want these 3 oranges for 3 different reasons. And how do we get to know that? Only when we ask them, why do they want what they want? Right? So when you know why they want what they want, the solution becomes a lot more easier. And therefore, we are leading to the next principle. We need to move from what they want to why they want it. By asking effective questions to the other side, the bargaining partner who is negotiating with you, by asking effective questions, we need to find out why they want what they want. And therefore, the second principle is negotiate on the basis of interest, not position. Negotiate on the basis of interest, not position. Position is, I want all 3 oranges. And interest is, I want to make juice out of this. So when you are negotiating, following this principle, you have to always go behind the curtain, behind the scene, and find out why they want what they want. What are the reasons why they're proposing this? I hope this is making sense so far, and you're enjoying the talk. If you're ready, we move on to the next principle. Principle number 3. Sometimes cooperation, even though all these principles are about cooperation, as we began talking about, sometimes the cooperation does not come very easy. So instead of just trying to cooperate, without really finding a clue how do you cooperate, here is one other principle that helps us. What conditions must a solution fulfill? So the type of solution you're proposing in the negotiation, you need to also identify what conditions must the solution fulfill. What are the other side expecting? In the solution that you're providing, what are the conditions that the other side is expecting? And is your solution fulfilling those? Are you making sense so far? Can I have some responses? What I mentioned here is when you are offering a solution, make sure that there are certain conditions that are being met by offering this solution. So you need to find out what conditions must a solution fulfill. For example, you are negotiating with your friend about fixing a dinner somewhere. And when you say, yeah, this time, let's go somewhere that both of us like. We need to go to a restaurant that both of us like. Then you can ask, what do you like? What conditions would mean that you actually like that restaurant? You'll probably say, I would like nice music there. The lighting condition should be good. And there has to be a good or a big variety of choice for food. So when you offer a location or a venue or a restaurant to that friend, and if you can show him how those conditions are met, there's a great chance that he will say yes to your proposition. So principle number 3, moving on with it, working with criteria opens up a lot of options. So you look at the criteria, look at the conditions which will be resolved if they accept your proposition, if they accept your solution. So the third principle is develop criteria that a good solution must fulfill. So you figure out what are the criteria that will ensure that you're actually meeting the expectation of the other side, right? That's the next principle, develop criteria that a good solution must fulfill. We move on with principle number 4. Now, before we give you the principle, I'm sure you would agree with me that people like to choose instead of just giving one option. When we go to a particular shop, when you are trying to make a decision about buying a new shirt Of course, you want to go to a shop which has many choices. So we all love making a choice amongst multiple options. So have different options to choose from instead of just offering one solutions. When you are making a proposition, when you are suggesting the other side to accept one of your solutions or one of your proposals, have multiple options so that they can choose from. Evaluate your options by criteria to find best options. Remember the criteria that we talked about in principle number 3? You use those criteria to evaluate different options, which will allow you and the other side to make a better decision. And therefore, the 4th principle is develop different options to choose from. So never go to negotiation table with just one offer. Yeah, have some options ready and make sure those options are also supported by the different criteria that you've selected in the previous principle. If you're happy, moving on happily. Applying these 4 principles will help us move from competition to cooperation. One more time. Gone are the days that you can consider negotiation as a competition. It is actually not. If you compete, the other side can, define different strategies. They can go conservative, they can go aggressive, they can do bluffing, they can do cheating, they can hide information. Instead of doing all those, we should try to apply these principles, which will help us to move from competition to cooperation. Are you happy so far? Let me know. Yes, I am happy. Yeah, I want a few more people to contribute and let me know that you are happy. I want a lot of happiness here. Please express that you're happy. Yes, I'm happy. Yeah, go on, go on. I want to see at least 20 and then move on. I've just seen about 5 or 6. I'm following. Rahim, Riju, Shamimul Haq, awesome. Can see many happy people. Few more, few more. Firoz Iftikhar, FCA. Prosenjit Dash. Few more. Just to give me some energy. Habibur Rahman. Hamim Wahid. Siam Shakib. Somebody is so happy. Debashish. Yeah, very good. Debashish Kundu. People, thank you very much for your cooperation. I'm having a wonderful audience today. And my special gratitude to each one of you. So we move on to the next subject if you are ready. We talked about few principles. And if you have noticed, we talked about cooperation. We talked about moving away from competition and get into collaboration and cooperation. And for us to reach win-win, remember where we started? We talked about 2 types of negotiation. One is integrative or mutual benefit negotiation. Other one was distributive negotiation. And the world today is getting together and not chopping the pie. It's about expanding the pie. How I can bring my benefits to you, how I can add your benefits in my side and make a bigger pie. That's the whole world's negotiation today. That's the ideal picture of negotiation today. So taking a cue from Stephen Covey, the famous guru in our line, we'll now talk about how do we balance courage and consideration to get into a win-win environment. So please draw this quick, simple matrix in your notebook. Vertically, we have consideration, low and high, and then horizontally, we have courage, low and high. So we'll now learn very quickly how do we balance courage and consideration to achieve win-win in negotiation or in communication. By the way, I'll just take a quick pause and remind everyone who are listening that we are into negotiation mastery. And I want to remind you that negotiation also is a communication process. So all the principles that apply in negotiation, in communication, also equally applies in negotiation. Quick example, on a face-to-face communication, we know that there are 3 things that contributes, just to refresh in your mind, C, T, and B. 3 things on a face-to-face communication. C stands for contents or words that we use. T stands for tonality or the voice that we use. And B stands for body language. And the research suggests that in a face-to-face communication, what we communicate has a very small contribution compared to how we communicate. The what part is limited to the contents that we use or the words that we use. And the contribution is between 7 to 10% only. Whereas the tonality that we use or the way we use our voice has got between 35 to 40% contribution in face-to-face communication. On the other hand, body language has over 50%, 50 to 60% contribution. So when you're negotiating, if it is on a face-to-face situation or even a situation like now, when you actually see the other side on a webcam, right? Or you're using one such tool like StreamYard or Zoom or whatever for the meeting, and you can actually see the body language of the other side. When they're not even talking, it's already a communication that's happening. As I mentioned, over 50% of the communication is happening through their body language. So please make sure you pay close attention to that. Okay, so I just want to remind you, because communication is negotiation is a communication process. Therefore, the principles of communication also applies in negotiation. So let's move on with balancing the courage and consideration bit. Now, I hope you're ready with the metrics 2 by 2. And vertically, we have consideration. Horizontally, we have courage, high and low. When in the negotiation, we have less consideration. We show less consideration for the other side. And we're also less courageous in really making our point. We end up in a lose-lose situation. We don't want to get involved in argument. We're not very strong in our proposition. We don't want to use a lot of energy, right? So the courage is low, and the consideration for the other side is also low. It's a lose-lose situation. We don't want it. Next is our consideration is high for the other side, but I'm not very courageous. I'm not very eager to put in my, side of the story, my point, my reasoning. And we often see this in many occasions in corporates where good practices are not prevalent. When it's a negotiation between the boss and a subordinate, the subordinate follows this type of a strategy sometimes. He's highly considerate about the boss, about the other side, what other side is suggesting or talking about, but he's not very courageous to say what he wants to say. So that negotiation ends up at a lose-win situation. Thirdly, just think the opposite of the boss and subordinate situation. Now you're a boss and you're negotiating with your subordinate. What do you normally see? I'm talking about general instance. You could be doing totally opposite, which I much appreciate. Generally, when your subordinate is negotiating with you, you are very courageous, and he's not very courageous, right? So you are very courageous, and you have less consideration for your subordinate. So you end up in a win-lose situation. You're winning because you are courageously putting up your points, your arguments, your logic and rationale. But you're not having much consideration for the other side. That's a win-lose situation. We are suggesting that of these three, we will not accept any of those for a win-win status, win-win achievement in negotiation. Instead, we should have high consideration for the other side, and we should also courageously talk about what we want, why we want, what's our reasoning for this. So only when we have high courage and high consideration in the play, we can think of a win-win situation in negotiation. I hope you have found it useful. If yes, please write yes. Please write yes, some of you. Thank you very much. We'll talk about what levels of communication will actually give us win-win, because as we learn, negotiation is a communication process where two or more parties come together to resolve conflict, and they continuously modify their demand to reach a mutually acceptable compromise. So let's learn, how do we actually achieve a synergistic communication for win-win situation? This one, as you can, the vertical axis is trust and the horizontal axis is cooperation. Please remember, humans are so designed that when in the environment trust prevails, the general tendency for us as humans is to cooperate, right? I hope you are understanding. Can I ask you that how many of you agree to this? How many of you agree that if we can create a trustworthy environment, we can expect cooperation to happen? If you agree, say aye. If we can create a trustworthy environment, we can also expect cooperation from the other side. Those of you who agree, please mention that aye. Okay, please remain engaged. I'm loving it. I have a very engaging audience today. Razveer, Nafiz Majhul Islam. Thank you very much. Shumana Yasmin, agreed. Asadul Haq. Munirul Zaman. Nasimul Haidar Shamim. Yeah, thank you very much. A lot of feedback. Thank you very much. So you agree that if we can create trust in any environment, we can also expect cooperation from the other side, because when there's no trust, people are actually more engaged in saving their backside. I hope you would agree. So let's learn how we achieve the best level of communication to achieve win-win. When trust is low and cooperation is also low, this is what happens with humans who are negotiating. They go defensive. And let me give you an example. If you have a motorbike that you ride, quite happily all the time, and in your own locality from where you go out every day with your motorbike, and someone asks for a lift, you would normally give a lift because you trust that environment. But imagine if you are asked the same favor in an environment which is not known to you, you have never been to that area, and someone is asking for a lift. How many of you would be happy to give lifts? Not many, right? You would not, because you don't trust that environment. So you go conservative, you go on a protective manner, right? So when we go in a low trust environment, when you go with less cooperation, we end up in a defensive communication, right? We don't communicate freely. We become conservative. On little moderate level, when the trust is moderate, the cooperation is also moderate. We get into a compromise situation. We get something, we also not get something, we leave something. So that's a compromise. But finally, when we can create a high level of trust, when both sides communicates freely, they trust the other side, only then in a negotiation, win-win or synergistic communication can happen. I hope you have found these two things useful from Dr. Stephen Covey. With a lot of gratitude, I remember. If you are happy, I'm going to give you some special things. Be ready with your notepad and the pen. And before I move on, can I invite you to stand up one more time, stretch a bit for 30 seconds, and take a seat, please. Meantime, I'll sip through the glass of water. Yeah, quickly, everyone, just stretch yourself and take a sit. If you're ready, here goes about 15 to 20 quick fixes. And then if time permits, we'll talk about a few mind-blowing strategies of negotiation. Are you ready? Please let me know if you're ready. I can see some people are more ready than others. They're repeatedly answering it, but I want others to respond as well. Please let me know if you're ready for the next section. Please let me know if you're loving it. Please let me know if you wish to continue with the rest of the webinar. Awesome. Guys are really ready, and I love this energy. All right, here are your tips or some quick fixes or some tweaks rather in negotiation which will help you throughout your life. I want to gratefully remember again, these are again from Harvard, so please follow through carefully. First one is preparation. Preparation is key. Like any other game, like any other communication, like any other exercise, the more you prepare, the better ready you are in the negotiation table. And what we are precisely looking at is we want you to research and prepare. We want you to research about the negotiating partner, the bargaining partner, find out who they are, what do they do, what type of business they're in, right? As much research as you do, you are better prepared to negotiate. Quick question to the audience again. Between a seller and a buyer, and I'll request my team to capture the name of the person who gives the first answer correctly. And when I tell you this is the correct answer, please capture that, and we'll send a token of compliment to that person. And here is your question. Between the seller and the buyer, generally, in general negotiation, in the negotiation between a seller and a buyer, who wins? Generally, who wins? Yeah, get me some answers if you want a reward. Quickly. Generally, between a seller and a buyer, who wins? And of course, you have to write why they win. Who wins and why they win? Quickly. Who wins and why they win? Who wins and why they win? Some said both. Many are writing seller. Now I want to know who wins and why they win. Why? Why do they win? Pradipta, I think you're writing from Sri Lanka, saying both parties win. Kamran Manzoor, buyer, because seller international, okay. Seller, because without profit, he will not sell anything. Sadhu Jamanchuel, thanks for your comments, thanks for your effort. Ejazur Rahman, Sony, seller, as the buyer does not negotiate and trust the seller. Okay, that's interesting. Because seller need profit. Okay, keep going, keep going. Buyer, because he find this solution. Abdul Salam, Arub Barua says, seller, they have more information about their products. Okay, I will buyer win government sector because seller more than buyer win in government sector. Okay, please move on, move on. If you have more comments, seller because buyers don't do research. Please stop here and lock Nafiz Imtiaz. You are the winner for today. Okay, excellent. Nafiz, if you could kindly write from where are you or which organization are you from, Bangladesh or elsewhere, please write it there. Thank you, and my team will definitely contact you after this. Okay, Nafiz has mentioned seller because buyers don't do research. Precisely, well done, Nafiz. Now the reason in general sellers win because sellers conduct extensive amount of research before facing the buyer, whereas the buyer would do that much less in a general condition. But of course, in a situation where the buyer also conducts good amount of research, buyer has a great chance to win. But in general, in an unideal situation, sellers actually come more prepared. That's why they win in most of the negotiation. So the type of preparation we are suggesting before the negotiation takes place, by the way, when I give you the quick fixes, I need you to understand one thing. As I said probably twice, that this is not a 2 days negotiation training. We'll not be able to cover all aspects of negotiation with regard to what it is, what do we do before negotiation, what do we do during negotiation, what do we do after the negotiation. But the quick fixes that I have mentioned here will actually relate to all these 3 phases, before, during, and after. So please pay attention. So before the negotiation, preparation is key. We research about the other side. As much as we research, we are better prepared. We prioritize. This is something that happens. I have seen that, I have trained several thousand people on negotiations so far in Bangladesh and abroad. And I have seen that this is one area where people grossly fail. You know before the negotiation what are the things that you consider, right? But when you go to the negotiation table, unfortunately, you lose track because you don't have set your priority. Is price most important in this negotiation? Is delivery time most important? Is quality most important? Is the viability or feasibility of the seller more important? So you need to prioritize in advance. I just remembered one thing, dear audience, my apologies, just a little pause. I want you to separately write 3 things. 3 things, if you have that, you can bring back me on the camera, dear team. Yeah, thank you very much. So 3 things, I'm going beyond these quick fixes that I've suggested. Whoever has a better possession of these 3 things in negotiation will actually do a better job. Are you interested to know what are the 3 things? If you have it, you will do a better negotiation. Who is interested? Who is interested to know those 3 things? I said whoever has those 3 things better in their possession has a greater chance to win in the negotiation. Who wants it? Let me see some enthusiasts. Who wants those tips? Yeah, go quick so that I can see. Many people are saying, I want. Yeah, give it to me. Go fast. Brilliant. Excellent. I love your enthusiasm, guys. Okay, here it is. 3 things, whoever has it more than the other side will actually do a better negotiation. First one, information. Whoever has more information about the negotiation or the subject matter of the negotiation, or more information about the other side, more information about his side, his options, the negotiating partner's options and everything, will have a better chance to win the negotiation. So the first step is get hold of more information before you negotiate. Second one, time. Whoever has more time in negotiation also has a better chance of winning a negotiation. I'm sure you remember in many occasions, you rush to a shop and tell the shopkeeper, I'm in a hurry, give it to me. There's a great chance that the shopkeeper will actually win over you because he can see that you're in a hurry. So the first thing that you should have in your possession is information. Second one is time. So make sure that when you negotiate, you are in good control of your time. You're not rushing. Let the bargaining partner feel that you have enough time in your hands to negotiate or come to a solution. You're not in a hurry. Number three is power. Many times this power is related to the social power or the business power. So if you're a buyer, you would normally think that you're in a higher power than the seller, right? Many times the supplier can assume more power because, he sells something that other than him, nobody else can give it to you, right? So three things: information, time, and power. Make sure you are in good control of those to have an upper hand in the negotiation or negotiate better in the negotiation table. Thank you very much. Thank you, team. Thank you, moderators. Please go back to the presentation again or the slide share. Yeah, you can keep me on the side. So we prioritize in advance what are the things that are important for us. We need to map concessions. Concessions means when you are giving away something, you're letting something go which are less important to you but more important to the other side. But you need to map them. What do you get? Therefore, what do you give? Or for you to give something, what should you ensure that you get in advance, in return? So you need to map that in advance as well. And finally, and the other one is identify needs. Your need and more importantly, their need. Why your bargaining partner are coming for the negotiation? Find connections. What is the link of this negotiation with the strategy of the company for which your bargaining partner is negotiating? Find the connection with your organization. How critical is it for you to negotiate and win or find a good solution? And what are the connections it has with your business strategy? Lastly, learn the stakeholders. Who are the parties who will be affected with this? Sometimes, let's say when it's, for example, right now, in this pandemic situation, we are supporting many of the government initiatives. So when you know who are the stakeholders, and you know that for poor people who are making these concessions, you'll be probably upfront, you'll be forthcoming, and you're making more concessions. So find out in advance before you go to the negotiation table who are the stakeholders in this negotiation. Second fix is having a learning mindset. So when you go to the negotiation table, be prepared to ask questions. No need to go as the smartest person to the negotiation table. You rather ask questions that even helps you to create better connection to the other side, and they see that you are more interested in knowing them, interested to find details about what they're proposing. So please have a learning mindset when you go to the negotiation table. Figure out why they want what they want. A few minutes back on the 4 principles I was mentioning, do not get restricted to what they want. Find out why they want what they want. Next quick fix is assess what happens to you if there is no deal. In fact, it's said in an opposite way. You should also know what happens to them, to the other side, if there is no deal. So if you can find out what will happen to the bargaining partner, what will happen to the other side when they don't have a deal in this particular negotiation, finally they can't agree somewhere, what problems they will face, what challenges they will face, what will not that they get, what are the opportunities they will lose, then probably it will be easier for you to shape your proposition properly, right? Shape your proposition in a way so that what they're going to lose, you can connect it with that, and take your negotiation, take your proposition as a reward to the other side. So you need to assess in advance what happens to you if there's no deal, or rather you should assess what happens to them, the bargaining partner, when there is no deal. And then you try to relate your offerings or your proposition to the things that they're going to lose if there's no deal, right? So they would rather feel uncomfortable to leave the negotiation table. They would rather want to stay on the negotiation table. Next quick fix is negotiate the process before substances. Many times we get too hooked with discount, price, and so on. and we don't focus on the negotiation process. You need to figure out in advance what gets to go. What if it gets to go from where you are today to where you want to go? For example, I'm trying to bid for a particular level of job with a government body, and if I don't know the approval process or the entire bidding process, then the type of strategies and tactics that I will fix or play with may not be appropriate to win that negotiation. So the suggestion here, I know that this Harvard body is making, is you need to negotiate the process first. Find out whether the process can be brought more favorable to you, or process can be made more favorable to you, rather than just looking at the substances before you do the negotiation. Example, sometimes it so happens that you negotiate for 3 months. Then after 3 months only you know that there are 2 other levels of negotiation that you have to go through. So what is being suggested here, that you know that in advance, what is the total road? How does the total road looks like for you to reach where you want to reach from where you are today? Next one is prepare in advance to the toughest question they may ask you. They means the bargaining partner. So you need to pre-plan in advance. A quick question to everyone who are in the audience. If I say negotiation is a planned or a predictable event, how many of you would agree? Negotiation is a predictable event. How many of you would agree to that? If you don't agree, you can say I don't agree. But I just want to know how many of you would agree, and why would you agree to that? Negotiation is a predictable event. I want to know how many people would agree with that. Negotiation is a some of you are saying no, which is very good. I want to see who agrees, who does not agree. Ikram Raihan agreed. Firoz Iftikhar agreed. Kamun Nahar Bashar. Yeah, can we quickly see a few more? Izaz Ahmed said not agreed. Yes, I agree. Negotiator know the outcome. Okay. Not agreed. Okay, looks like most or there's more weightage on the not agree side. Thank you very much for giving your opinion. Yeah, thank you very much. Let me explain why we say negotiation is a predictable event. You must have seen how Messi or Ronaldo plays on the soccer, right? How they play soccer. When you see those 11 people together on the ground, many times you and I wonder whether it's a soccer game or it's a video game, because all the moves and counter moves are so planned. It looks like a computer game or a video game. Would you not agree with me? Yeah? Can you say agree, those of you who said that negotiation is not predictable? When you watch those global or the international matches or the World Cup, many times we feel the soccers are, they're like video games. Do you agree? Few more? Yeah, awesome. Now, how is that, or how does that look like a video game? Why is it so that, they have such a great understanding for every single point? When Messi runs on the ground, his co-teammates or team players would know exactly where the ball has to be passed. Likewise, for negotiation, when you prepare in advance, when you pre-think, when you think in advance what moves can happen, and if that moves happen, what will be the counter move? Or if you make a move, what can be the counter move? Therefore, what should be the next move? If you can prepare for all those in advance, negotiation also turns into a predictable event. So what you and I have to do before the negotiation, before we go to the negotiation table, we cannot probably prepare for 100% of the scenarios. But imagine, even if you can prepare for 60% of it, 70% of it, 70% of the event becomes predictable to you. You're already in the upper hand. Are you getting it, guys? Now, are you happy to know that negotiation can be a predictable event? Those of you who initially said no, can I see if you agree now that yes, I agree? That yes, negotiation can be a predictable event if you prepare? How many of you now agree? Excellent. Those of you who disagreed before, I want to particularly know from you. Awesome. Do you now agree that it is predictable? Yeah, I want to. Awesome. So those who disagreed before, now they are saying we agree. Awesome. So prepare in advance the toughest questions that you may that they may ask you. Next quick fix is, okay, before I show you this, I want to ask you this. Dear audience, when you're on the negotiation table, how many of you would like to make the first offer? And how many of you would like to wait for the first offer? Those of you who want to make the first offer, say aye. Those of you who will wait for the first offer, say I will not. I want to see roughly, I will see about 10-15 opinion. Yeah, Farzana Hussain, no. How many of you would make the first offer? Yes, Abdul Rahim. I will not. Mushfiqul Alam Khan, thank you. Ruman Shihab, wait. I'll wait. Okay. Abdul Rakib Khan, I will wait. Asadujjaman Sardar. A few more, please. Shafiqul Islam Palash, Suman Kumar, I will not. Ashraful Islam. GM Faisal, I will not. A few more, 3-4 more. Fahim Kazwar, I will not. Ejazur Rahman, I will not. Ushi, not sure from my writing. We'll wait. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, I got a feeling of how the audience is feeling like. And what I have observed, like everybody else who are watching, there's more weightage on I will wait. I will not make the first offer, right? Now, here is my bit, or here is Harvard's bit, rather, that write down, please. I just remembered this phrase and I wanted to write it down. Anchor first and anchor in your favor. Please write it down. Team, if you could put it on the screen as well. Anchor first and anchor in your favor. Moderators and the panel, if you could put it on the screen, anchor first and anchor in your favor. Anchor first and anchor in your favor. Awesome. What that really means, if you can make a reasonable anchor at the beginning, which means if you can make a reasonable offer at the beginning, before the other side talks about his offer, what will happen is the discussion will get focused or narrowed towards or around that. So if you make a reasonable anchor, of course, if you make an unreasonable anchor, it will not benefit your negotiation much. But if you make a reasonable anchor, that will cut a lot of the chase in the negotiation, and that will actually save a lot of time, a lot of discussion, because then the other side will know that you are a reasonable person, you have good knowledge about that negotiation. So next time, don't make that mistake. Even Harvard is suggesting that you should make the first reasonable offer. Okay, please go back to the screen on the slide share. Present the first offer. It helps to shape the expectations and frame the negotiation. So please write it down if you're writing. Next quick fix is you need to make or present the first offer. Don't wait for the other side, yeah? Because the other side may bring up something which is totally unreasonable, totally beyond your expectation, and it's only going to take a lot of time. Next quick fix. Never let your offer speak for itself. This is another big one, a big one for communication, big one for negotiation, big one for selling, even big one for buying, from whichever side you are in your negotiation. Never let your offer speak for itself. What that really means, whenever you're proposing something, you assign a reason with it. Our prices are high because we import all the raw materials. Our prices are high because we use high quality input materials, right? Never let your offer speak for itself. You give a reasoning. We will take 2 more days to deliver because the raw material that you're asking for is not with us, and we don't want to compromise on this. We actually want to wait for the best raw material to come, and then we will deliver. So whenever you give a reason, there is more acceptance for people, for those who are listening or those who are receiving your offer. So never let your offer speak for itself. Assign the reason. Always give why you are saying what you are saying, right? Next one, in terms of quick fix, never give a concession and trade it reluctantly. Please write it down first, then let me explain. Never give a concession, trade it reluctantly. Trading is when you're exchanging, in exchange of something, you're giving something else. And the formula, or the rule, or the principle that you can follow here, whatever you are leaving as concession, you need to optimize on that. You need to build the value and significance of anything that you're offering. For example, when you're giving a 5% extra to the other side, you tell him that how difficult it has been for you to offer the 5%, and this is something special that you're doing for the other side. It's not something that you usually give to everyone. So let the other side feel that importance. So never give a concession, trade it reluctant. And we should also say, I would rather not give this, but because you are important to us and we really want to do the business, we are giving you this. So whatever you are offering as a concession, make sure it looks big. You optimize your concession. On the other hand, when your bargaining partner is giving you some concession, you minimize their concession. Don't get too excited about the offers they are making. When they say, okay, 5% less, let's go, thank you very much, you're the best in the world, I really want to do business with you rest of my life. No, that's not the expression that you should make. Not excessive, thank you, and so on. I can probably say, yeah, that's a good move. Let's move on. Let's see what else we can do. Yeah, instead of just being overwhelmed and really showing excessive energy, excessive excitement on it. So I repeat, when you're giving concession, never give it one way. You trade it reluctantly, and whatever you are giving, you optimize your concession, and whatever you're receiving, you minimize their concession. Next one is consider making multiple offers at the same time. Is somewhat similar to the main 4 principles we discussed at the beginning, that don't just come up with one option. When you come up with multiple options, and that way they actually know, the bargaining partner know from you that you are flexible, and they see flexibility in you. And that's a good quality for negotiation, that they don't see that you are very hard and fast, you're very strict, right? You're very stringent in your proposition, rather you have kept some options for them to consider and choose from. So consider making multiple offers at the same time. Initial reactions matter, and if you receive an unacceptable offer, reject it immediately, and think in advance to which signal you want to send to the other side. Are you trying to tell them that you are totally unreasonable? You make such an unreasonable offer, so I'm not going to accept it. Are you going to tell them, sorry, this is not a reasonable offer, so I can't take it, but I'll be open if you improve on this. So when you are rejecting, your initial reaction would actually matter, or when you are accepting, make sure your reactions are such that never compromises the fact that through negotiation, we also try to build relationship. Relationship building is one of the critical aspects in negotiation. We don't just want to negotiate and forget the other side. We also want to build relationship through the negotiations. We need to remember that. So initial reactions would matter. Make sure you made the right initial reaction. Understand and respect their constraints. It may sound very logical for you to expect something, whatever you are offering, whatever you're asking for is very reasonable, right? Sounds very rational. You may consider your intention is right, but at the same time, you must pay respect to the constraint of the other side. Your other bargaining partner have their legitimate, constraints, their legitimate demands, or even you think your demand is legitimate, but they're rejecting because of their constraint. So you need to understand where their hands are tied. If you show empathy to that, you'll actually have a better ground in the negotiation to win. So it's not a matter of winning over, it's a matter of winning together. So show respect to the constraints of the other side when they say they have genuine constraints. What looks like irrationality is usually ignorance or interest you don't understand yet. Sometimes when the other side shows an irrational behavior, you might consider that is irrational, but it could be a fact that is actually ignorance or interest from their side, which you are not understanding. So what you should do, you should always have empathy for the other side and try to think, what is driving their behavior? Why are they behaving that way? Why are they doing what they're doing? Why are they saying what they're saying? So if you are not sure, one of the credibility habits that you promote in all leadership training is you should not assume. Whenever you have doubt, instead of assuming, you must ask, okay, I'm feeling this way. Can you please clarify this a bit? Yeah. So it may look irrational on the face, but it could be meaning something else underneath or behind. So try to figure out what it is. write their victory speech for them. Gentlemen and ladies, dear audience, when the counterpart comes for negotiation with you, please, please, please remember, it's not just him who is negotiating. He or she is negotiating on behalf of his team, on behalf of his office, on behalf of his organization. So it's not that that person individually does not like you, right? It's not that, it's not a matter of judging that person. So also understand, when this person goes back to his office, to his team, he needs to deliver his victory speech, how great it was for him in the negotiation. So before he left the negotiation table, make sure you prepare his victory speech. Good things that you are giving him so that he can carry that in his mind. And when he goes back to the team, he can share those with the team, that this is how the negotiation went, these are the great things that we achieved, right? So write their victory speech for them is the next quick fix. Don't let negotiations end with no. So this is one of the quick fix that I'm really fond of. You should be the last person to say no. Yeah, you should be the last person to say no. It's like politics, there's no end, right? You should always keep the door open, because you don't want to lose on the relationship. You don't want to lose on the potential to be connected with this team in the future, right? So don't let negotiation end with a no. All negotiation must finish with a yes, or with an explanation of why not, right? So you should be the last person to say no. That's one of the very sincere tips that you can carry with you. Tell the truth always, and the truth shall prevail in the long run. It's a matter of credential or credibility. If you bring in your values with regard to integrity to the table, it's anyway understood by the other side that you're following principles, right? You're a man of integrity, you like to respect the principles, and if you're truthful, let's say in some cases you are unable to deliver something that the other side is asking. And many times in our culture, we sometimes see that I'm unable to deliver, but I said that I will try. That's really a false commitment. We should not do that. We should rather say, well, I totally appreciate that you want it early, or you want it within 7 days, but my situation is such that I'll not be able to make it before 10 days. So please appreciate my side. I'm telling you the truth. My actual work situation is such that I will not be able to deliver you in 10 days. So tell the truth always, in any case. We are coming to the end of the quick fixes. Always send a follow-up email, or do a communication if email is not appropriate, to confirm whatever you discussed in the communication table or whatever the other side is actually retaining with them. So what they know about the communication outcome and what you know are aligned. So please make sure as you come back from the communication, follow it up with an email. Now, has it been going good so far? I'm happy to take some questions if my team can help me. I'll see if there are some questions put on the messenger and read it out from here. How is it going so far? Give me some feedback. Have any time limit for negotiations? I'm writing. Okay, please let me know if it is going good. Mr. Shariar, have you given me some questions? I hope the team was preparing the questions, and I'm waiting at the. I'm waiting to see the questions if you have. Or are you putting it on the screen? What to do against unreasonable first anchor? Oh, thank you very much. Good question, Mr. Ishtiaq Riyad. If it is unreasonable, you must ask a diagnostic question. Please write this down, everyone. Whenever it is unreasonable, you need to ask diagnostic question. Why they think that's the right offer? Why can't they alter the offer? Yeah, ask diagnostic question. Why are they offering what they're offering? Any more question? What is the most effective technique of negotiation? I would say win-win. Find out why the other side is coming to the negotiation table. Find out why you are going to the negotiation table in advance. And make sure you don't negotiation on the position, you negotiate on the interest. Interest-based negotiation is the best negotiation. Never ever negotiate on position. How can you control our initial reaction? Okay, brilliant. That's a super question, Mr. Ikram Raihan. As you go for negotiation, you need to remind yourself you're not going for a war. You're going for a business case or a reason, and you have a good reason to be on the negotiation table because you want something. And you need to appreciate you can only get something when the other side find good reason for him to give it to you. So make sure that's the kind of mindset, the type of reaction that you should show initially. So you should remain very calm, very composed, very focused, and you should let the other side know that you're there with a purpose. Should we, Mr. Shihab Chowdhury is writing, should we open the full solution price bucket during negotiation as true facts so that trust can grow between the two parties? Not really, Mr. Shihab. I want you to wait a bit, probably because we started about 20 minutes late. So I'll be using some, sharing some tools. Please wait till that time. If I'm not answered you till that time, you need to ask me the question again. What will be the rejection communication process? Yeah, very good question, Mr. Russell Ahmed. You need to let the other side know why you are unable to take that offer. Don't just say sorry or thank you very much, I reject it. Give them a reason why you are unable to accept that. And make sure that you have excessive focus on continuing in the relationship because you may need the same party once again going forward. So even if you are coming away, on a no agreement situation, you must not break the relationship. So you must tell them, you must thank them for their effort and time, and then you must tell them also give the assurance that we might come up or engage ourselves again in a conversation for future opportunities. Jahangir Alam Rana is saying for critical item buyer have no power to negotiate with what? For critical item, buyer have no power to negotiate with buyer. Or I'm not very clear, Mr. Jahangir, if you could ask the question one more time. Is there any way to evaluate the negotiation? Thank you very much. A good question, Abdul Al-Mamun. As you get back, there's one fantastic way of evaluating. That's why I said I'll be sharing a few tools. Just write somewhere BATNA, and then when I explain that, I'll give you an answer to that. BATNA, B-A-T-N-A. If Muhammad Abu Tayyab, if win-lose is possible, why we'll go for win-win? Thank you very much, Mr. Muhammad Abu Tayyab. Good, very, very good question. I respect that. Audience, this question is, if win-lose is possible, why should we go for win-win? Simply because you don't want the other side to feel that he's losing in the negotiation. And if you give him that feeling, chances are that he's going to give up in this relationship, or he may not come back to negotiate with you in the future. So why lose an opportunity? You should rather, even if you think that you have made a good margin or you have been upper hand in the negotiation, or you have made good marks or your results are better, still give him a win-win type of a feeling. In negotiation, what about, I'm not very sure, Kamrun Nahar Bashar, you have written, what about price matter? Price is critical, but price is not the only reason we negotiate. What role emotion plays at negotiation process? Mr. Naimul Islam Chowdhury, thank you for asking. Emotion plays a very, very vital role, because if I'm holding a negative emotion in the negotiation, if my mood is such that this time I'm going to kill the other side, or if my emotion is such that I'm a loser, this party that is coming on the negotiation table is too strong, I will not be able to make a good headway, then even if I have good reasons to win, I'll actually fail the negotiation. So make sure that you hold a positive negotiation or positive emotion before you go to the negotiation table. Animesh Dash, how to deal with dominating negotiator? Very good question. I like this question. People will actually show dominance, and there are different styles of negotiation that they follow. When they show dominance, you will have to give them a feeling that you respect what they're saying, so long it is logical. And irrational dominance, if you accept, then probably you have a great chance of being beaten up. So don't just accept that dominance. Your dominance should come with the knowledge and the information and the time that you have in your control. how to tackle negotiation under emergency situation like a COVID-19 situation. Irrespective of what situation you are in, of course, emergency gives you less control with regard to time. As I mentioned before, whoever has bigger control in power, information, and time will actually have a better chance to win. But for this emergency situation, you have to do a lot of concessions because necessity knows no law. And if you're running a business, you have to appreciate that in a very irregular situation like this, unexpected situation like this, not everything will go in your favor. And sometimes you'll have to compromise the very stringent processes that you follow for negotiation. Okay, I think, guys, I have taken a good number of questions. I think it can go on. How ethical it is to use weakness of the other party as a tool of winning the negotiation. It happens more often in a real life. Ejazur Rahman Mollik, good question. Well, as I mentioned, if you are going with high integrity, even if you know of somebody's weakness, that's a weakness, right? That's a weak side that the other side have. But by any chance, if the other side understands that you have taken the advantage of the weakness of the other side, going forward, he'll be actually more defensive. He'll be more conscious about covering up his weaknesses before coming to you. So that way, your relationship with this negotiating partner will be hampered. Yeah, so let me quickly go back. Guys, we lost about 20 minutes initially in the connection. So 1:27 is the time, so 1 hour and 27. So we'll have about 15 minutes. So I want to benefit you with certain things. Let me see. I'll just take you to the presentation again. Okay, so we talked about a few quick fixes. Is it visible, team moderators? Is the screen visible now? If you can show me there if it is visible. Share screen. Yeah, so I'll tell you an amazing story after you have heard all the quick fixes and the 4 strategies and what negotiation is about and why should we focus more on principal negotiation. There was this gentleman in the Middle East who died, and long after his death, his 3 sons discovered a will written by the father. So you can remove the screen now, moderators, and bring me back on the camera. So long after the gentleman died in this Middle East, his 3 sons discovered a will written by the father. And in the will he wrote, "Dear sons, in my time in the world, you have been always very loyal to me. And you have been very loyal children to me. So when I die, I expect that you remain the same you and follow the instructions as below. I'm leaving behind 17 camels for you. And I want 3 of you as brothers to share the 17 camels in the following manner. The first son to take 1/2 of 17 camels. Second son to take 1/3. And third son to take 1/9. So half, first son, 1/3, second son, and 1/9, third son. So these 3 child got together, and as they were very loyal to the father, they tried to find a solution exactly in line with the father's suggestion. And they tried and tried, but ultimately they failed because 17 is not divisible by 2, 3, or for that matter 9. So after a lot of trying, they failed, and they met someone like me, a wise man, and they asked for a solution from the wise man. The wise man, we need a solution. This is what my father mentioned in the will, and we want to follow his instruction. Wise man looked at the difficult maths that they were going through, thought about some time, and he came up with an interesting solution. He brought one of his own camel and gave it to them and said, okay, you take my camel and do the calculation now and share the camel as per your father's will. So 17 plus the 1 from the wise man made the number to 18. The first son took half of it, which is 9. The second son took 1/3 of it, which is 6, and the third son took 1/9 of it, which is 2. 9, 6, and 2 together is 17, and they gave back the wise man's camel to the wise man. Have you found the story interesting? Yeah, so how did they solve this situation? They had 17 camels, they couldn't divide it by 3, 2, or even 9. All they did is they created a common ground. They brought something which was not in the negotiation table, right? When the wise man gave a smart solution to create a common ground for them and then do the maths. How many of you found it interesting? Let me see how many of you are interested about it. Faisal Abir, excellence. Okay, Rajiv Hassan. Excellent story. Mamu Raman. Jangi Shakil. My sincere gratitude. Thank you very much. So what we have just seen, as I mentioned a few minutes back, like politics, negotiation has no end. So if it comes to a deadlock where you are unable to, resolve it, you try to remember this 18th camel story and bring that 18th camel in the equation, and I hope that you can find a solution going forward. So look for the common ground, and surely you can achieve a solution. And when you are looking for an agreement, of course, amongst the parties. So the first step is to believe that there is a solution. And if you think that there is no solution, we'll not be able to reach any. Okay, so can you get back to the screen, please? Probably what I will do is, because there were more questions from, I think I will give some of the tools which I thought I will not be able to cover in this session, but now that there were some questions, I'll quickly try to cover them. And if I have time only, I will cover a few strategies that I wanted to share. The first tool, and if you look at the screen here, if you could put the screen back, these are 5-step pre-negotiation framework, guys. A serious agenda, some tools, some hands-on tools, critical tools for negotiation. So please take quick notes. I'll actually run through it a little fast because I just kept it as an extra time help. But now that the questions are more in line with this, I'm happy to share this. The first step, the first thing that we do is we'll identify our BATNA. BATNA stands for best alternative to a negotiated agreement. Best alternative to a negotiated agreement. In other words, what will I do if the current negotiation ends in no deal? So the negotiation that I'm doing now, if I fail that, what will I do? Because I need to solve this anyway. I need to have a solution to my want, right? I need to get this, whatever thing that I'm willing to get. So the first thing that I should prepare before the negotiation is ascertaining or assessing my BATNA, and BATNA stands for best alternative to a negotiated agreement, which means if my current negotiation fails, what do I do? Where do I go? What is the other alternative that I have? The course of action that you will pursue if and when the current negotiation ends in a deadlock. So if you're not going anywhere in the current negotiation, what is the other best alternative that you have? So why BATNA matters? We'll talk a little more on this. How do we ascertain our BATNA? So we are doing this before negotiation, guys. So we're talking about very quickly, how will we determine our BATNA? How will it determine the best alternative for us? We need to develop a list of possible alternative options. So if I fail to negotiate with party A, what are the other options I have? What are the other alternative options I have? And then from that list, I need to estimate the value associated with each of the alternatives. And finally, I need to select the best option. So 3 steps, pretty simple. I develop a list of all possible alternative options that I might pursue, and then I value each one of them, and then I select the one that gives me the best value. That's my BATNA. And I remember there are a few questions from Mr. Mamoon and others. I think we'll find your answer now. BATNA matters because BATNA tells you when to accept and when to reject an agreement. Yeah, if you're following. When the proposal from the other side is better than your BATNA, you have all the reasons to accept it because you have in advance decided or assessed the other alternatives that you have in the market. and you have chosen the best one from that as your partner. And now the negotiation that you are in, if your bargaining partner offers something better than your partner, you have all the reasons to accept it. On the other hand, if the proposal from your bargaining partner is worse than your partner, you can happily reject it because you already have a better option with you, and you have that in your record. I hope so far you are clear with the partner from your side. You need to determine the partner of the other side as well. So through your research, which you conduct before negotiation, you need to determine the partner of the other side. And you should only reveal your partner if it is better than the offer the bargaining partner is making. So one of you were asking that, should I make offer in this and that situation? So here is your answer. You should only reveal your partner if it is better than the offer the other side is making to you. Revealing a weak partner will weaken your position. So there's no point revealing or letting the other side know if your partner is weaker than their proposal. And on the other hand, revealing a strong partner strengthens your position. So you need to calculate the other side's partner, and we are coming into that. And before that, we need to talk about another concept called the reservation value. So an analysis of partner is critical because it allows you to calculate the reservation value or your walkaway point in the current negotiation. Reservation value is the lowest offer you'd be willing to accept. So you decide in advance what is the lowest that you are going to accept. So in terms of assessing the other side's partner, you would actually follow very similar step that you have followed while assessing your own partner. Remember the steps: finding the alternative solutions that you had, now you're finding it for your bargaining partner, then value each one of them, and then select the best one that you think they will take. So the way you assess your partner, you're also assessing their partner. So now you have two things in your hand. I'm coming back to the reservation value. You have your partner, you also have their partner. Who has assessed this? You have assessed this, not them. Knowing your partner and their partner tells you the strength of your own position. Now, your walkaway point. Sorry, okay. So you need to find out in advance what is the walkaway point for you, or what is the walkaway point for them, and that will be calculated through the reservation value, which I'm going to come in a minute. Don't think we're not going to discuss this now. Just bear with me because we have to discuss this for a after a natural sequence. The other thing, the next or the fifth step, is actually determining ZOPA, and after which we'll talk about the reservation value again. Once you have an idea of each party's reservation value, you can evaluate the zone of possible agreement. And I'll show that with an illustration here. ZOPA is the set of all possible deals that would be acceptable to both the parties. In another way, ZOPA is the space between the seller's reservation value and buyer's reservation value. So let me show you what it is. And here you go. Now it will be easier for you to understand if you can see, I'm moving the cursor here. The buyer wants a very high, he has a much stretched target price. If you look at on the left side, buyer's target price, and where the green box has ended, that's where the green box has ended on the left, that's the buyer's target price, and where the gray box ended on the right, that's the buyer's reservation price, which means the buyer says he is willing to spend maximum $25 million. That's his reservation point. And his other extreme is the buyer's target price, which is on the left-hand side. And at the bottom, you see the seller's target price is much higher than the seller's reservation price. So seller says, I will not sell this below $17 million. And the buyer says, I will not buy this above $25 million. So this range between 25 million and 17 million, which is this $8 million, is the zone of possible agreement. Now, if the situation was reversed, which means the buyer's reservation point was lower than the seller's reservation point, then there is no zone of possible agreement. There will be no negotiation. I hope you are getting it, guys. So the ZOPA is the difference between the reservation point of the buyer and reservation point of the seller. If the reservation point of the buyer is higher than the reservation point of the seller, only then there's a positive ZOPA that exists. And if it goes the other way, if the seller's reservation point is higher than the buyer's reservation point, then there is no ZOPA. So I hope you have now got a handle on what the target, the reservation price is for buyer and the seller. So 5 things we mentioned here: BATNA, your BATNA, their BATNA, reservation point, and of course ZOPA. Those are the steps that we mentioned that we need to know, that we need to assess before we go to what you call negotiation. Is it going good so far? Have you learned something interesting? Yeah, can you remove the screen from the screen share? Yeah, I'll see if I can give them a little more and finish the talk for today. How is it going so far? Was it useful, guys? So those of you who asked a few questions in line with this, thank you, got the answer. Thank you very much. So you need to do both sides BATNA. Yes, absolutely right. And if your BATNA is better than their BATNA, then you're on the upper hand. If their BATNA is better than your BATNA, you're not in the upper hand. They're in the upper hand. Awesome. So was it useful, guys? Excellent. Ruman Shihab, thanks for reconfirming. Kamun Nahar Bashar, yes. Alok Islam, yes. Ashik Alam, yes. Very much interesting. Ronnie Bhavik. Okay, I think I got a good handle of answers. I'll finish with 8 very special strategies of influence. I want you to take some notes. And I'll go through very, very quickly so that we can finish maximum in 10 minutes. We have overshot time a little bit, but of course we lost about 20 minutes beforehand. Are you happy to stay here for another 10 minutes? Show me some positive excitement, or else we can finish here. Let's make it a little interactive. Are you willing to spend another 10 minutes together? Give me many, many yeses quickly if you want to stay on here. How many of you want to stay here? Awesome. I can see many people are interested. All right, beautiful. Of course, if you have to learn more, you have to come for the 2 days course, but I'll try to give you a few more now. Are you ready? 8 strategies, amazing 8 strategies of influence. If you're ready, here goes the first one. You can share the screen now, dear moderators. The first one is highlight potential losses rather than potential gains. Highlight potential losses rather than potential gains. I'll share this with an amazing story. So there was this area in Santa Cruz where an organization came and offered that they want to do a free survey on electricity consumption. So to one neighborhood, one group of houses, they said after the survey was over, they said they gave the results, of course, of the survey, how the electricity consumption looked like. And to one group of the participants who participated in the survey, in one neighborhood, they said, we come from an insulation company, we do house insulation. So if you take our insulation, you're going to save, let's say, 20 cents per hour in your house. And to another group of people who also went through the same survey of electricity consumption, this company said, we are from an insulation company, this and that. If you don't install our insulation, you're going to lose 20 cents per hour. My question to you, which company you think will go for insulation? Which company you think will want to take the services from that insulation company? The company that was offered the benefit, or the company that was told what they're going to lose? Can I have 1 or 2 responses quickly? The one that would gain something or the one that will lose? Razveer, second one. Mufti Mahmood, second. Zedem Tanvir, second. Abdul Rakib Khan, second. Faisal Fahad, second. Congratulations to each one of you. The second one, of course, that's how the human psychology is designed, that if we offer them, or if we tell them what they're going to lose by not taking what we are proposing, that's when they feel more attracted. So when you're negotiating next time, you need to highlight potential losses rather than potential gains to the other side. I hope it was useful to you. If yes, please write it down. Say yes, it is useful. These are amazing 8 strategies you can apply. Second one, disaggregate their gains and aggregate their losses. Disaggregate their gains and aggregate their losses. Quick question again. If you sit down with me on a negotiation table, and after a regular or irregular interval, I keep giving you the bad news, is that good? Or giving you the bad news in one go is good? Should I keep giving you little bad news as I go on, or I should give you the bad news in one go? Which one you would suggest? Which one you would do? Disaggregate their gains and aggregate their losses. Would you like to give me losses continuously? Ashraful Alam, disaggregate their gains. Thank you. Any other views? Bad news at one go. Nafis Imtiaz, thank you. Bad news in one go. Arshaf, Faisal Abid, regular interval. Regular interval what? Bad news or good news? Faisal Abid. Step by step. Azmir Hussain, step by step, bad news. Okay, one time. Okay. Salwa, okay, one time. Yeah, okay, here's the strategy, the best one again. This is a research by Harvard. What they found out, let's say in the morning when you take the wallet, of course, not in this pandemic situation when you go out every morning for your work. You take your wallet today and you figure out that there's a 100 taka note, which was not there before. You feel happy, right? After 2-3 days, you open your wallet and you find there's a 50 taka note and you can't figure out, you can't remember when you kept it. This is one scenario. On the other scenario number 2, if you can picturize another scenario, that you open your wallet and you thought there was 100 taka there yesterday and it's not there today. And after a few days, you open your wallet, you can find out, okay, I thought there was a 50 taka note yesterday and it's not there today. So between these two scenarios, the first one where you repeatedly see that there is money available in your wallet, you'll actually feel happy. But on the other hand, when you see repeatedly money is missing in your wallet, you will feel unhappy, you feel scared. That's human psychology. So what you should do, if you have to give a bad news, you aggregate that. Talk about the loss just once, don't talk about it repeatedly. Whereas if you have to offer them something good, disaggregate that. Give the good news in pieces. Throughout the negotiation process, continuously give it. So that throughout the process, they have that sense of getting something, gaining something. Yeah. So keep them smiling throughout the process. Third strategy, employ the door in the face technique. Very simply putting, I'm just trying to save time. If you are trying to ask for something big first. It may sound little unreasonable, but the human tendency or human psychology is such, if you can give them a feeling that the first offer they rejected is too big, or gives them a sense of feeling that they did not, accept that offer, when you offer them a reasonable offer or a smaller offer afterwards. Quick example for you. There was this group, I'm again talking about a research. There was this group who works with, delinquents, juvenile, people, the young people who are into drugs and so on. So they were conducting a survey on the street. There were one group in one side of the street, one group on the other side of the street. So one group on one side of the street were stopping people and saying, sir, we are dealing with these people, these young kids, who are into drugs and this and that, we're into rehabilitation. So would you like to sponsor one of their group of 20 people to go to the zoo, just for a zoo visit, because we do everything possible to rehabilitate these boys and girls. Versus on the other side of the road, another group were stopping people and saying, we have this counseling center, and for this type of people, who are into drugs and who are not having a balanced life. So can I request you to come to our counseling center once in a week and provide counseling for the next 3 years? And many of them, or most of them, said no, they don't have, they cannot make such commitment for 3 years. And then they said, well, if you cannot do this, how about sending a group of 20 people to the zoo? A very high percentage compared to the other side of the road actually said yes to send many people to the zoo. So this is called DITF technique, or employ the door in the face technique. So you first close the door in their face, and then reopening the door, offer them something reasonable, and you have a great chance of accepting or winning. Next one is employ the foot in the door technique. This is an amazing one. Let me illustrate that with an example. In a bar where the consumers are coming in the evening, to use the facilities of a bar, the bartenders, they selected one group of customers who are entering the bar and requested them to sign a petition with regard to drinking and driving. The drinking and driving is not safe and this and that. The other group entered the bar without signing any petition. But at night, when all they got disabbreviated, they all got drunk. The group that originally signed petition, when they were offered to get a taxi or call for a taxi, there was a high percentage people who said, yes, I want a taxi. Compared to the people who did not sign the petition, there was a very low percentage of people who actually accepted that the bartender should ask for a taxi. So what has happened here is the human psychology or the human tendency is such. In a first instance, if you can agree with someone to something which does not cost him anything, and then from that, if you lean towards some other proposal, which is in line with that, or which is aligned to that original mother proposal or the smaller proposal which did not cost them anything, then they tend to say yes. So what you should do in your negotiation, that's why it's called employ the foot in the door technique. You first bring them to the door and then getting in becomes easier. Next one is leveraging the power of justification. Yeah. So children, when they ask something, they justify by saying, all those kids are having this, so give it to me. So likewise, when you're also offering something, you give them justification, give them reason, right? Why your offer is, the right offer for them. I think I have said something similar to the quick tricks that we shared today. Leverage the power of social proof. Imagine infomercial on the television. You see this 2-3 hours infomercial. They're trying to sell something, and in the scroll you always see order now. Yeah. Imagine if that says order now and then a phone number, and then it says if the line is busy, please call again. What will happen to your cell? What will you feel in your mind? Oh, they're going very busy, so I need to immediately call. So when you give a social proof, right, that your product is actually selling, then you have what you call more chances of selling or more chances of other side accepting your offer. Make token unilateral concession. It's unilateral, not bilateral. You're making some concession. If it's a small one, quick example, your supplier wants you to meet at their premises. If it is not a big deal, if it is not a compliance issue in your business, go and meet him at his premises. And that small unilateral concession will actually help you to build relationship, and it will have a positive impact on your negotiation. Last one, use reference points to make your offers and demands seem reasonable. For example, I'm a corporate coach and a trainer. When I send out my proposal to the customer, and when I make a list of customers who are already doing business with me, and I also say this is my standard price. So when the customers see that these customers, the other companies are actually accepting that price, it becomes more acceptable to them. So when you make reference points, your demand seems more reasonable to the other side. I need to stop here because I think for a small webinar session, it has been quite a justifiable thing from my side. But I want to hear from you now whether you found it useful, and maybe I can invite you that those of you who will be interested to join a full-fledged negotiation program, please drop a message in the MindMapper page, right? You can write a message and we can pick your details from there. I'm very thankful, very grateful to the Almighty and to each one of you for giving me this opportunity to serve you. I hope you have found it useful and you can utilize many of this learning in your real life and you become a better negotiator. Please remember, in negotiation, we must not move away our attention from building relationship. We must not move away our attention from making it win-win. We must not make our attention away from the fact that we are negotiating with human. So with those few words, I wish you the very best, and I want to remind you that next week at the same time, at 8 p.m. Bangladesh time, we have Personal Excellence, which will be a mind-blowing session for you. I'm sure each one of you want to grow personally. When you grow personally, the community grows, your family grows, your organization also grows. So I would be happy to see each one of you there. We once again sincerely apologize for the initial hiccup in setting up the technicalities. I'm sure you will apologize, and you would appreciate that we are also learning, and we'll give you a better experience next week. Be with us at MindMapper. We are very happy to serve you in this very critical time of the world, and we look forward to add more value to your life. This is something that goes with our mission, which is Shape Your Mind. So as much as we can within our limited capacity, we'll try to add more value to you. So please be with us and allow us to serve you more going forward. Thank you very much once again. Everyone stay safe. And as I requested you, those of you who wish to attend a full-fledged negotiation training, don't forget to leave your contact details in a form of message in the MindMapper page, and our team will contact you. Once again, I'm much grateful to each one of you for giving me this opportunity and listening to us. And that brings us to the end of Negotiation Mastery for tonight. I hope I have been able to bring in some benefit to your life. You all will become better negotiators, and please keep us in your prayers. Thank you very much. Good night.